Flying is learning how to throw yourself at the ground and miss. Great quote. Thanks, Cody.
That wasn't from Cody, you son of a bitch.
It said C.
I will absolutely
Stifler.
take
Okay.
credit for it, though. So you're
With
welcome.
terrible grammar and all. Terrible grammar and all.
Colin.
So, Charlie, thank you for that intro. Greetings and welcome to This Week I'm Learning, the podcast where the hosts fall down the rabbit hole constantly, and the topics are mostly lightly researched. Mostly. This is episode 42, season 2, recorded April 13th, 2021, and I'm your host, Brandon Vader, also known as Dracanus on the forums. Down below me, Cody Stratman, also known as Psychonitrous and Zito, and I thought there was another one that we figured out last week.
His other name is Asshole.
No. That's you!
Oh, yeah,
Charlie
that's me. Sorry.
Stifler! Also known as Asshole and Mjolnir. And then down in the corner, because we always put baby in the corner, Colton Roper, Seeker 4761.
It's where I
The amount
fucking
of
belong.
stars behind his head.
I'm cosmic, bro. Woo.
Bro!
It's kind of interesting that you keep adding qualifiers to our research. It used to just be research. Topics of research. Now it's lightly researched. Now it's whatever you said.
Mostly.
So I'm going to add like sort of, mostly, lightly researched is my topic this week.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, mine is more like I went down the rabbit hole and could probably do like an hour-long TED Talk, and I'm going to try and compress most of that knowledge into like 15-20 minutes.
Then
good.
I don't know how well this is going to work.
It's an
My
arm
name's
ring.
Brandon.
Got it.
I could host a TED Talk.
Arms!
Oh, fucking Christ. It would
I
be.
I think there's gonna be some irony there when his topic comes up.
Some weird new leg processor or something.
I was going to say, you will not want to skip leg day if you plan on taking any of what I have to say to heart.
Ooh.
You almost had a rhyme there, and then you had to add to heart.
Yeah,
Still
well.
close.
Anyway, Cody this week is going to tell us about PayPal is not your buddy. Interesting.
It will be. And unless certain
it
things.
will be interesting, or it will be your buddy?
Oh, no, never. Never.
Never. Okay.
Never.
Lovely.
I ain't your buddy,
friends,
guy.
Friends don't let friends PayPal.
I ain't your guy,
Unless PayPal is your friend, then kind of forces you to. And Colton is going to tell us that sometimes the glitch in the universe, or the glitch in the Matrix, not the universe, can be seen in
One and
real
the
time.
same thing.
It's okay. It's all the same.
It depends on what pill you took, apparently.
It's a good pill. And Charlie, I feel like I should be like saying this in an epic, godlike voice, but Charlie's going to tell us about how, in the beginning, the universe was created. This has made a lot of people very angry and has been widely regarded as a bad move. I fucked up the quote. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so both the first quote of the episode that I put in there that he gave to Cody for some fucking credit, and that quote are both from Douglas Adams, writer of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where answer to life, the universe, and all things is 42, which is this episode. So I'm going to be making a lot of comments and quotes and references to that.
We love references.
Brandon will be floating on wood and rubber, and no one is going to be surprised. I once saw him sat on
If you know what I mean.
I once saw Brandon sit on a fire hydrant and make it disappear.
Oh.
True statement. Facts.
I don't know if that's a fat joke or another kind of joke, and I'm just not okay with either one of those.
Excellent.
So, save us, Cody. Well, and terrorize us with news that PayPal is not our buddy.
It's the only friend I have. Don't ruin my friendship, Cody.
And I want you to remember, Cody, that it is a mistake to think that you cannot solve any major problem with just potatoes. I just want you to know that.
Well, potatoes are usually the answer, so...
Thank you, Douglas Adams.
Yeah. So what's the new biggest thing in money recently in these
Venmo?
Crypto.
Hey, we got the same answer from all of you.
Not
For
me.
once.
I said Venmo.
Oh,
Okay. Well, I misheard you. Well, you're wrong, and the
What?
rest of you are
What,
right.
you don't like telling your friends about your purchases in a social media aspect? That seems like
I
a great idea.
actually
Also, I found-
block every single time I use Venmo. I always put it to private, and I never show what it's for.
Yeah, it's such a dumb concept, which is also owned by PayPal, I believe.
Yeah, I found that out today. I'm like,
Ah.
oh.
it's owned by PayPal?
It's owned by PayPal.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yep.
Yet another thing ruined.
So PayPal has started offering cryptocurrency purchases as of like the final months of the year of 2020 as a bid to try and, make the world
Stay
explode.
relevant.
Yes, stay relevant. It's actually probably the most accurate term for that. And here's why that's a bad idea, at least for any consumer. I'll focus on the good first, because I feel that you should have the good news. The good news is it's secure, and yeah, that's about all the good news.
I'm
there is.
sorry. Did you just say the word secure and PayPal in the same breath?
PayPal hasn't had a breach, have they?
Not that. They have.
No, I'm sure they have. There's like 6
Yeah, I wasn't aware of
breaches
it.
these
Like
days.
the original 100 million breach was PayPal. The original.
Oh, that's
Like the
Oh
first,
shit, you're right.
The first major data breach of credit card numbers and names and date of births was PayPal. And thankfully, it was after Elon sold it, so it wasn't going to hurt SpaceX's future.
well.
Right. All right. I remember now.
Yeah, I mean, Elon, playing a major part in it, when it became PayPal, he wasn't really in it anymore at that point.
Yeah, he already sold and made his $3 billion.
Yeah,
Wanted to be a spaceman.
which I think we all
Rocket
think
Man.
is a better idea at this point for him.
Oh, yeah.
But I guess I can remove secure from it, although arguably it's more secure than keeping your crypto on other exchanges, because they do say that they'll protect you from fraud. What that means, we're not entirely sure to an extent.
I think, isn't it kind of like an FDIC situation where they'll,
And they could
if
be
there's
like
any money
federally
lost through
insured.
it? Yeah.
Coinbase, for instance, is actually insured in that regard. So again, if you're going to keep your crypto on an exchange, like that's not terrible. Like that's the least terrible of the terribleness. But now here's where we get to the bad. So when you buy crypto, so you go on to PayPal and you're like, woo, I'm going to buy some Bitcoin. And you buy the Bitcoin and you're like, all right, now to be super secure, I'm going to transfer that to my hardware wallet that I just bought. Nope. You cannot actually take that off of PayPal. That is on PayPal until you sell it or purchase something with it with a vendor. So apparently there's 29 million vendors that will work with it, but not really. So what PayPal does when you go to a vendor to use your Bitcoin to buy something is it translates the crypto, it sells the crypto for you for that transaction, and you get fiat, or well, you don't get it, but the vendor gets fiat, so US dollar or whatever currency, in exchange for that crypto that you sold. And that's not really good, because that means that people could get into a situation where they're now paying short-term capital gains tax for making a purchase at Subway. Because if you held the asset for less than a year and you decided, ooh, I wanted a sub sandwich, now you're screwed out of 50% of gains that you had on that sandwich. You're like, oh man, I'm like $5 up. Let me get
My
one of those
sandwich
footlongs.
futures are down, baby.
Yeah. now that sandwich is taxed at 40%. So really, I'm not doing simple math right now. Charlie, go.
Your $5 footlong.
Yeah, that $5 footlong actually cost you
Short in length and money.
$7.50.
Yeah. If it was 50%, it would cost you $7.50. So, and we'll just. But it's like 40% if you have to pay that short-term capital gains tax.
$2 is 40%, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's $2. Jesus.
Oh, it's okay. It was that easy.
Math is so easy when you know it.
Yeah. So yeah, you now have a
Isn't that
$7 foot long instead of a $5 foot long. So it's really just a bad idea. Also, the fees on it are a bit more than other places. So I mean, Coinbase is pretty expensive, and that's because they make it easy. However, they publish what the fees are specifically, whereas PayPal, you have this. We're not going to quite tell you what the under-over is that we're going to charge you on it, and it's also 50, or it's half of 1% on top of that is what they're going to charge you. So it's really, they make it easy, so it's easy to use, and from their words, secure, but you can't really do anything with it. You're not really dealing in crypto. You're dealing in crypto translated back to fiat.
You're dealing with monopoly money at that point.
Yeah. So you don't have keys. You don't have. Again, you're not controlling your crypto assets. It's It's another holdings company that PayPal is using to actually hold that. Yeah. So kids,
definitely not buying my crypto through PayPal.
Yeah, it's just a bad idea. So, Yep. That's what I learned this week.
What a weird world we live in. Talking about fake computer money that's somewhat real, more secure in some ways,
and
but
somehow
also less
more
secure.
fake.
Well, it's
all for
really,
buying a sandwich.
What crypto really is, it's a measure of computational power in a way, because it's basically based off of. And this is me recently learning about all of this stuff, because I used to think it was complete nonsense. I remember arguing with him to not buy Bitcoin back when Bitcoin was like $100. I was like, oh, this mining for Bitcoin is just a waste of power. Yeah, I remember standing in that room. You should go back in time and beat that guy up, Brandon.
I think I read somewhere that all of the power used just to calculate useless numbers for these blockchains are more than most countries.
But
it's something
it's not.
It's the equivalent of 100
useless.
Million cars for a year.
It's not necessarily useless numbers, because you've got different blockchains that do things. Like, for instance, distributed computing. You've got a new token that's actually being used as an easy way for people who know front-end development to just put that on the blockchain and run that. So that's actually what a lot of that is going to. So, I mean, what's the servers at Amazon doing?
Yeah, if they're switching to... If the economy is going to switch to cryptocurrencies of some sort, then theoretically it actually has more of a true benefit.
But it's actually providing two functions. So it's providing the monetary value, and it's providing the actual computational resources is actually doing something too. I was mistaken because I didn't understand what it was doing.
It's one of those things of, is the amount of power used to generate that, is it worth it? I mean, that's a general
and also
question.
you have to realize,
know.
when is that power utilized? When is that done? Is that done off peak times? When power is cheaper, and so I mean, you get into some weird arguments.
Power is not a lake; it's a river. Power is a river. It's just like the internet. So I don't know. I love that quote. That's still my favorite quote. As the internet is a river. So I love to bring it in there at any time.
No, but you use your data. It's gone. GCI just told me that 80% of my lake is dry. I only have 25% left. or 20%.
Your
God,
favorite
I
quote,
can't do math.
your favorite quote, Colton, is good, but this quote is better. A common mistake that people make when trying to design something completely foolproof is to underestimate the ingenuity of complete fools. Thank you, Douglas Adams.
That book is just chock.
By the way,
full of
I've got
quotes.
tons of these.
I'm going to love this today.
Excellent.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you, Milner.
Yeah.
And I think at this point, it's on for Colton to tell us what we can see as
Red
far
pill
as
or
the
blue
glitch
pill?
in the
That's the
Matrix.
You can
fundamental.
see the Matrix.
I forget which colors do what.
Yeah.
I've only
don't
seen that
think
movie
so.
once, and I
If you
forget
actually,
which
like,
color does
watch The Matrix, like, even it isn't super clear. Like, that fucking movie. Anyways,
The red pill it unlocks him and he leaves the Matrix. The blue pill, he goes back to the world before.
right, but it's
It's like NyQuil versus DayQuil.
well, yeah, but the actual quote, like
one.
the
NyQuil
what
tastes better.
Morpheus actually says, it's super confusing and trying to.
It
You wake
is.
up
It
or
is.
you
He
go back
doesn't.
to sleep.
He doesn't
Yeah,
say that
it's-
directly.
It-
Yeah, I remember
it's-
when I was a kid, I was like, he's taking the wrong pill. He wants to be out of the Matrix.
See, and that's the way I kind of remember. Like,
but I
wait,
was a kid.
right?
And yeah.
Yeah, it's a movie trying to be smart. I do like that movie. But we're not going to be talking about pills, boys. We're going to be talking about holes. Deep,
Kinky.
dark holes. The deepest and the darkest in the universe, actually.
Black holes.
Yeah,
But
talking
enough
black
about your
holes.
mom.
Black holes, baby. We're talking black holes. Because we're an adult podcast, and who cares anymore? So, so what do you guys know
My
about
son,
them?
who is still catching up to us, but whatever.
It's okay. By the time he catches up, he'll be a man. So, hi, Lucas. Welcome to adulthood. Anyways,
Wow.
so what do you guys know about black holes? Just generally. You don't have to give me specifics, but
They suck.
They have an
also
enormous
blow.
amount of mass that actually overcomes the electromagnetic force of light, and so light cannot escape its
yeah,
gravity.
that's kind
So-
of the common thing that light cannot escape it. Super. Yeah, it's a hole. Just a point
Created
mass.
from
with-
dying stars.
Yeah. That's one theory. There's a couple other ones with supermassive black holes, but the basic theory is a collapsing like giant star. Essentially, the core collapses into a point mass and causes all sorts of weird physics problems. But did you know that they can actually do the IT professionals' #1 on their checklist? They can actually turn themselves off and on again. For my fellow
Hello,
IT
IT.
professionals.
Have you tried turning it on and off again?
Well, apparently
that's
astronomers.
accurate.
Yeah, apparently astronomers did not know this either up until about June of 2020, when astronomers at MIT, that's right,
The Massachusetts
MIT,
Institute of Transportation.
close enough. They observed, the transportation company observed a black hole 300 million light years away from Earth, and it just disappeared. And this was actually corroborated by observers all over the world. So it wasn't a technical glitch. It wasn't any
Well, I
sort
mean,
of weird.
Technically,
thing.
you don't see them. You see the absence of things. So when you say it disappeared,
And that's a very good point. Because to be fair, the gravitational effects never actually went away. So it didn't really disappear. But the observable X-rays and visible light of the accretion disk dimmed by a factor of over 10,000 over the period of 40 days. Which I was trying to find a kind of comparison of what something dimming by a factor of 10,000 would be. And the best one I've found is, and it's not 100% accurate, but it's essentially the sun turning off. Basically going from the sun to nothing. That's kind of the factor of 10,000. That's the type of dimming we're talking about here. And actually, at one point during this time period, the black hole dimmed by a factor of 100 in just 8 hours. So, on a cosmic sense, it essentially is just blipping out of existence. Since, obviously, black holes can survive most things, at least theoretically, for 10 to the 66, 1.7 times 10 to the 66 years.
So technically,
like
it's
that?
the equivalent of this. Yep, got it all.
There you go. Even shorter. So, why care? Who cares? Because black
I
holes
care.
have actually...
I care, Colton.
We should all care. Everyone cares about
Well,
black holes.
because we shouldn't use our navigation technology based off of any sort of image recognition.
Also true. But
Yeah.
black holes have actually disappeared before from observation. Like, that happens. At least from actual physical observation. When black holes suck up all the matter within their gravitational net, they tend to just go dark because Cody's right. You can't actually see something that doesn't reflect any sort of light. It's always, when you're talking about seeing a black hole, it's the matter that's swirling around it at 90% the speed of light that's heating up so much, and that's what we can see, and it's emitting X-rays, visible light, all sorts of things in the electromagnetic spectrum. But what's special about this observation is that that happened over this past summer, is that within 100 days of its lowest brightness, which means when it was essentially turned off, it actually became 20 times brighter than before the event. So that's kind of the glitch that they're talking about. It was super bright, it was bright, shut down, and then became brighter. And this is all in a period of 7 months.
I wonder if it's because the gravity's... this is me, who is not been studying black holes or anything, and this is a out there theory. Like, so does the gravity change and the light particles that are in it or lensed around it get, like, some of them travel slower and faster, so it appears that there's no light for a second, and then all of that ball of coalesced light then gets released? God, that
I mean,
sounds
it's a theory,
terrible.
but here's the... Oh, go ahead. What's your theory, Brandon?
I have a counter proposal.
Ooh.
Black holes are actually made by Cisco. So when they power down, they get darker. But then as they ramp back up, they have to ramp back up to 100% output before they can then go
That's
back
a good
down.
theory. You know what? It's as good a theory as that astronomers have right now.
I was going to say that black holes travel through space like all other celestial bodies, and it sucked up all of the matter in that area, and it ran into another pocket, like a vacuum cleaner in your living room going over nothing, and then finally finding that dirt pocket, and you're welcome for that sound, by the way.
So, all as good a theories as they have right now, because as far as astronomers know, normally a black hole can be expected to change brightness by factors of around 100. Normally it takes thousands of years. So they happened to see one change in basically half a year, which is, first off, it's never been observed. So that's kind of cool. But as far as they know, there's no real reason this should happen. Because, yeah, the theory that you have, Charlie, kind of makes sense. But that, again, happens over a long period of time, not just essentially with a snap.
I wonder, what if there is something between us and the observed black hole, like perhaps another black hole
that stayed directly in between the 2 points is effectively a cosmic eclipse for 7 months. That's it's possible,
and that's the thing. Probable. These are all theories. It happened less than a year ago. It's brand new. Again, the fact that it happened in real time is the cool part of it.
What you're really saying is that all of us should change our jobs and become particle physicists.
I'm pretty sure with our lightly researched topics that we've done, I'm pretty sure we know more than the astrophysicists and the astronomers at MIT.
You should just wait until my topic is over, and then you might actually agree with me.
I was going to say, from what it sounds like. So, just the prevailing theory, and it kind of works with everyone else's theory here, but the prevailing theory is that a star or some other massive object essentially collided with the black hole and knocked the accretion disk matter away. But again, with physics known as it is, there doesn't really seem to be a way for that to happen, because the way black holes generally work, for that to happen so quickly, it should have just dimmed, either gotten hotter because the stellar matter would have been sucked in and X-rays and visible light would have actually increased because there's more matter, which is as far as we know, or another possible black hole. But again, they don't really know, but that's kind of the prevailing theory. That is some massive stellar object essentially collided with it and glitched out the black hole for about 7 months. They don't know either. Basically, they have no fucking clue. But that's kind of the prevailing theory right now. So all of our ideas are just as valid right now. We just don't have any way to prove it. At least not yet.
That's cool. Science in action.
Yeah. Hey, it's, again, the cool part is the fact that the technology that we have and the instruments that we have are sensitive enough that we can actually see this in real time. That's the cool part in my mind. And I don't know in terms of physics if anything interesting is going to come out of it, but it's just cool. It's cool shit. That's what I learned this week.
Nice.
Excellent.
You know, it's times like these when I'm trapped in a Vogon airlock with a man from Beetlejuice that's about to die of asphyxiation in a deep space that I really wish that I'd listened to what my mother told me when I was young.
Relevant.
Why? What did she tell you? I don't know. I wasn't listening.
God, I love that book. So,
May I?
Please. It sounds like you might have
Enlighten
sort
us.
of a, maybe not a continuation.
Enlighten
but
you
adjacent.
mean? Enlighten?
Ah.
Enlighten us.
So, the earth-shattering, nature-breaking news that apparently Brandon didn't hear about, which is insulting. The algorithm clearly does not think that you're intelligent enough to understand what happened, so, there's that. Sorry.
He does, to be fair, he does use Bing. So
And that's why
I
he's
do too.
known
I
as
do too.
asshole.
I do
Oh,
too.
by the
I
way-
just had to
by
throw
the
that
way-
in there.
You fucking linked something in Discord the other day, and then it changed my default search engine to Bing, you son of a bitch. It took me almost 4
Seriously?
hours to figure it out. Yeah, that shit was insidious.
Oh,
That's some bullshit right there. I hate Bing.
I have noticed, like, when
I
I
mean, it's a
link
good energy
something
drink.
from Microsoft Edge, like the links look physically different than a regular link from Google. It's just Bill Gates, man. They're just trying to get them
Okay.
chips in a different way.
All right, does everyone know what a muon is?
Not
Is
precise.
it
No.
what a
I
cat
know
does?
it's a
They
quantum
mew.
particle. or
There's a
something.
quantum particle.
It's one of like the 60 or 34 that they have now, but they're
It's 16, and no, but it is. But a muon is a heavy electron that has a positive charge and generally has its own magnetic field. So it's a extra atomic particle. So it's not in the orbit of a nucleus of an atom. It's a particle.
Okay.
Well, they've been accelerating these suckers in Fermi outside of Chicago and in CERN outside of Geneva near to the speed of light. And using magnets to stabilize them, they should be, based on the 4 laws of physics, nature, gravity, electromagnetism, the strong nuclear force, and the weak nuclear force, they should be wobbling at a certain specific speed. Well, there's a problem. They are wobbling way, way too fast. So, they've tried to balance the equations, they reassessed their equipment, and they reproduced the science at different particle accelerators, and they keep on getting the same result, which, by default, would have to mean that there is a 5th law of nature that is yet to be discovered. And the reason why my tagline, in the beginning, the universe was created, this made a lot of people very, very angry and has been widely regarded as a bad move, is because the 4 laws of nature do not explain the Big Bang. They do not explain everything that happened up to 1 second before or 1 second after the Big Bang. So they know that at the time of the Big Bang, the average temperature of that point was 10 to the 52nd Celsius. That's really hot. It's like really, really hot.
yeah,
And
that,
then-
that melts quantum particles,
Yeah.
isn't it?
It does. It
That's
specifically
why
melts
the
quantum
laws
particles.
don't apply as far as they know,
Exactly.
because
all of the forces, all of the atoms and molecules and all of the forces basically dissolve to their most fundamental pieces that are even lower than quarks and other subatomic particles. And the average force in that point was also 10 to the 36th giga electron volts, which is a lot.
Can't even fathom that.
Yeah.
Our
lot.
meager human minds.
Right. So that's the news. Like, yeah, there's a new particle particle that we've known about for a while doing something we can't explain, and the answer we're coming to is, well, there's got to be a fifth law, at
Physics
least.
is wrong.
Yeah. Well, no, physics is right. We just don't have all of the parts of the equation.
Physics
we have
is
the
incomplete.
alphabet. We have the alphabet
true.
A to Y. We're missing X and Z, probably. It's probably not the end of the discovery chain. This last one is probably not going to be the last one for very long. So I decided that my topic this week, in case, Colton or Brandon chose this topic, was going to actually be explaining the 4 laws of nature that we know about. So the first law is the one that you guys probably think you know the most about, which is gravity. And gravity is cosmically the most powerful force because of its force in space. So its relation to other objects is large. So force equals gravity times the product of the masses divided by their distance squared. So in other words,
In
the
Newtonian
larger the
physics.
object, so the larger the object and the shorter the distance, the greater, and gravity being the constant, the greater the force. So that means that an ounce of sand on Earth, while it has a very infinitesimally small force on a gram of sand on the moon, it does not have 0 force. So that distance is infinite. So it can never be 0. Okay? Very similarly, the electromagnetic force is also, so force equals the kinetic energy of charged particles over their distance squared. So it's a much more powerful force, but it is governed by 2 major items. The fact that it only has effects on other charged particles. And if you guys know anything about Earth, what happens when you put a wire in the ground?
It grounds out.
It grounds out because large masses are typically neutral. The amount of atoms and everything typically balances the charges. So most large objects in the universe do not have a charge. Therefore, stars have a huge electromagnetic force on each other because they are both charged. That is approximately 10 to the 36 greater than gravity. But because it only applies to charged particles, it doesn't have nearly the same effect as gravity. Okay? Then that brings us to the strong nuclear force. So the nuclear force is what holds atoms together. Specifically, if you were to take a helium atom as an example, if you use Fermi's equation, the amount of force that those protons in the helium atom are exerting on each other, the 2 protons, the 2 neutrons, the 2 protons are exerting a negative force on each other of up to 20 pounds, which is, when we're talking about a single atom, is huge amounts of force. But the strong nuclear force is 100 times more powerful than the EM force, but it has a maximum distance limit, which is exactly the width of 1 proton. If you get past the width of 1 proton, that force no longer applies, and that repulsion force, that 20 pounds, then cannot be applied, and they will scatter. Okay? Then that brings us to the weak nuclear force. The weak nuclear force is the reason why we have matter, like true amalgamations of molecules, and we're not just all neutrons. Because it's responsible for radiation, specifically beta radiation, and negative beta radiation. So beta radiation is a neutron splitting into a proton, an electron, and an antineutrino. Okay? And that change in state is what allows for matter to conglomerate. So the negative beta radiation is also a proton splitting up and becoming a neutron, a positively charged electron, and a neutrino. So without that, there would be no charges, and therefore nothing would actually be attracted or scattered. We would just be a cosmic soup of neutrons. That's all it would be. So
How
those
boring.
four forces, yeah, extremely. Those four forces come together and create the universe as we know it, kind of, because we know it kind of. So this fifth force, we're at the precipice of a major change in the laws of physics. If we can figure out the equations to make this make sense, we're going to have a lot more answers. And some of the topics that we've had for the last couple months with particle physics and black holes and teleportation and all that stuff, we might be just a little closer to being able to figure that shit out. So there's my physics lesson for you guys for the week.
It's a big
That's
year for
interesting.
physics.
That's awesome.
Big year
Yeah.
for physics.
Yeah.
So
After
and
the
on
Babbitt,
that
all those
topic,
researchers not going out and drinking and partying, so they have more time and brain cells to think with.
Bunch of nerds just doing
speaking
math.
of brain cells to think with, the major problem, well, one of the major problems, for there are several, one of the major problems with governing people of whom you get to do it, or rather who manages to let them do it. So to summarize, it is well-known fact that those people who must want to rule people are, ipso facto, those least suited to do it. To summarize the summary, anyone who is capable of getting themselves made president should on no account be allowed to do the job.
Count it.
Okay. So Brandon, floating on wooden rubber. Enter another dick joke here.
Yeah, I did kind of set myself up. For
Bringing
those
back
that
the
did.
after
that was-
hours. Lucas, time to go to bed.
knowing what your topic is and then seeing that as your tagline made me go,
Yeah. So, I think all of us on here of the group can agree that when we buy new things, lots of time and effort is spent deep diving into the topic before actually doling out the cash for a product.
especially when it's a new sex toy.
Seriously, my child listens to these.
He'll eventually figure it out.
You may as well learn about it now.
I mean, we've had the talk, but it's still it's awkward. Anyway,
It's a good thing we're rated M for mature.
yeah, I guess that is my problem as his parent for letting him listen to.
We're just
our
the fun
dribble.
uncles.
And also, you're the one with the tagline. I had to make the obvious joke, too.
You didn't though.
I did.
have to.
Yes, it was there. I had
it's
to.
a prerogative. This is after hours now. Like it's required, Brandon.
Yeah, it's 7:15 p.m. here, so
We're breaking, baby. We're
9:13.
breaking the laws of physics. We're PayPal's aren't our friends. Laws, nothing matters anymore, man.
Yeah. So we've all fallen down the rabbit hole. I am currently surfacing from a 48-hour knowledge binge on electric skateboards and ready to educate.
that went a different direction than you guys thought, didn't it?
That's completely different.
Yeah, you guys all
Thankfully.
had like the serious
Thankfully.
topics this week.
I
And-
distinctly remember having a conversation with you before the ski season started that would say that you're going to die on one of these devices because it will not be able to stop your inertia because you're a big dude.
I am a big dude, but they have made strides.
I can't stop smiling.
Or
This is
actually
so
a
fun.
lack of strides.
Yeah, you don't have to stride on them anymore.
Ha 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 ha
God damn it.
So
ha ha.
I purchased a board yesterday after 2 hours of a sanity check ride on a borrowed, like, old-fashioned...
Invisible
Oh,
board.
invisible board! Ah!
Oh, it's one of them hoverboards that we keep hearing about.
There we
Oh,
go,
there it is.
kind of.
There it is.
Damn,
just
technology these days.
Just a longboard.
Yeah,
I don't think the
standard
wheel's ever
longboard.
going to catch on. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Square's definitive.
Triangles, baby.
Yeah, so borrowed a longboard from a buddy. I've been looking at electric boards for over a year. Like, oh, that looks really cool. That'd be so fun, but I'm a klutz. Yeah. 2 hours on that thing made me realize, yeah, I could probably figure it out. So I decided to go with a Ranger X2 from Backfire Boards. It's an all-terrain twin 1200 watt hub-motored board backed up by a 12S 545 watt hour 50.4 volt
Jeez.
high voltage battery system. Double kingpin truck sitting on
12S.
6.5. Yeah.
What does all-terrain mean in this concept?
I'm getting there.
Oh, sorry.
He'll show
Okay.
you.
Yes. So, double kingpin truck sitting on 6.5-inch rubber honeycomb tires. And if none of that made sense to you, it didn't to me either until I followed Alice down the hole. So, what did any of that mean to anyone here? Cody, I'm nixing you from the battery stuff because you're drones.
Oh.
You're basically riding a gigantic bomb.
Nah.
A big old
quite.
lithium.
A 1.2 kilowatt battery?
I'm not allowed to talk, so
No.
You said 1200 watts.
12S 545 watt hours.
Oh, okay.
50.4 volts.
That's still a bomb. That's still pretty fucking big.
I mean, it could be, but that's why they're...
Just leave it on the charger for a week and see what happens.
God.
I hope it has limiters. It's got to have limiters, right?
Yeah,
No.
Oh, you
it
think?
has... Yes. It has a very
Legally, it has
good
to.
electronic speed controller that is also the charge controller, and yes,
I think this
it's
is
safe.
This is why you're
This is-
buying one and not putting one together for the first time too.
Yes.
First,
Absolutely. There's a reason I'm not like, yes, I've bought these cells that I'm then going to put into like this array to equal this much voltage to then hook up to this controller to then no.
when you told
not
me
there
about
yet.
this the other day, I Googled it, and the first video I saw was this Korean dude with 2 different boxes. One of them was basically like 10 of the 4S LiPo batteries that I use in a box that were daisy chained together to do this. And then the other one was I forget, but they were basically bigger versions of the 18650 batteries, which are basically 1S batteries that are round, look like a bigger version of like a AA battery, basically.
Yeah.
And lithium polymer version of that, and they had like 50 of them in a box on this thing. And like, oh, that's what Brandon's getting into. Okay.
Brandon, to quote Douglas Adams, a learning experience is one of those things that say, you know that thing I just did? Don't do that thing.
We'll see. We'll see if it's a learning experience or a fun
We will.
experience.
God, you need to YouTube this shit.
Oh, I will.
Oh,
Because
I'm glad
we'll
that
need
brought-
something to show the court of how you died.
Well, the good news is I should get it before Cody comes to visit.
Oh,
So not only
There's some
will there
good news.
be GoPro footage, there
But there'll be
should
witnesses.
also be
Oh my god.
witness and drone footage.
Only good can come from this. I'm just saying.
Only good.
I don't see
Only
a
good.
downside.
It's all good. It's
He's
okay.
gonna race my drone.
Is this your
Pardon me?
Oh, you didn't
Be
know
fun.
about this yet, but yeah,
No,
It'd be fun once.
No, I will lose. That's okay.
You just gotta
I just-
outlast like 4 minutes, and the battery will die on the drone.
Brandon, I really
Tortoise the
appreciate
hare.
your opinion on this topic, but I just want to say, in the words of Douglas Adams, all opinions are not equal. Some have a great deal more robust, sophisticated, and well-supported in logic and arguments than others.
Yeah, fair enough.
Going with that, what's the logic for a man of your prestige wanting and needing a electric skateboard?
Summer on the mountain.
Actually, no. So
Really?
I would eventually like to get into mountain boarding.
I was gonna
think
say,
that
just
could be
justify your
really
purchase.
Cool.
Oh, no, I'm talking about around the base venue.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, I mostly want one to play around with, run a few miles like worth of errands around town that don't really warrant like taking a car for.
That's perfect for Gunnison.
I was
Like,
gonna say, actually,
that
Yeah, a
is-
makes
few
lot of
miles
sense.
is what are you doing? Laps around the edge of the town?
3 or 4 blocks,
Well,
and you're there, baby.
That would be like I charge it up for the day. I run to post office to drop something off, or the bank to drop something off, or like whatever, and then go back home. And then like here's the other thing, like beer runs would be way more interesting.
You could get a
As long
trailer.
as long as you're drinking after, I suppose. Don't get a trailer for your electric longboard, Brandon. Don't get a trailer.
No.
Yeah, get a trailer.
Pull
Hook up a
pull
wagon.
behind luggage. Pull behind
Oh
luggage.
my god, Brandon! That's
Yes, I love
so
it.
silly.
I like how we've
That's
got a
so-
split now. We've got like this side that is very pro, and that side that's very anti. Or that
Yeah.
face
Oh my
expression
God.
right there.
Only good can come from this.
So then also, once I get more comfortable on it, walking the dog, because I'm a lazy jackass, and my new
Ziva
apartment
will murder
building-
you on that board.
You
Yeah.
can always. So when you hold the leash, here's a tip that my mom actually used for bike riding with her older dog. Is don't have your hand around the loop. Instead, hold the loop like that. That way, when you let go, it's not attached to your hand, and it just lets
Not
go
gonna
the
pop
entire
off your
leash.
fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let us not think the unthinkable. Let us not do the undoable. Let us prepare to grapple with the ineffable itself and see if we may not F it all after all.
I think I'll be okay. But
Yeah.
thank you for that wonderful
I hope
quote,
so.
Douglas Adams.
Yeah.
So
He's like a burly ninja.
yeah. So walking the dog, and then also getting to and from the disc golf course.
Just go full on, dude. Just
Go-
embrace the lifestyle. Jesus.
Embrace
Kinda-
the lifestyle.
He's just going full nerd hippie.
I'll tell you what, as far as like calorie usage, there was a bunch of articles that came out, it was either this week or last week, that said that using an electric bike with full assist really didn't use less calories than a pedal bike.
I was gonna say that better not have been last week you learned it, because
I think my ass has something to say to disagree with you about that.
Sorry, the soreness of your ass, it has nothing to do with calorie usage.
And everything to do with your seat.
Maybe the
No, my
repairing
muscle
your
usage.
ass,
Yeah.
using that for your cells to repair that, but just being sore doesn't make a difference.
I actually been thinking about getting one of those not electric, like those gas powered little bikes that you see. Not like a motorcycle, but like a physical bike that you actually pedal, but you only pedal and
called
get
a
it up to
moped.
speed. No, it's not a moped. No, it's an actual bike. You put a little
and it's
motor
not
on
electric.
it, and no,
Yeah.
it's a gas
You make
powered.
It's
Oh.
like a 49cc, because 50cc's and up is classified as a scooter. It's a 49cc. It's basically you start pedaling, it kicks in, and then you've got a little throttle.
Yeah, all it won't. It's not powerful enough to actually like get you going. That's what the pedal is for. But once you get to speed, as long as you're in a flat area, it'll keep you at speed.
So it's like having an old truck that, you have to pop the clutch when you're going downhill to start.
Kind of, yeah. But yeah,
Sure.
I've been thinking about those. But The more I think about it, a little thing like that for a town like Gunnison makes perfect fucking sense.
No,
Or
absolutely.
a little longboard, which especially Gunnison, of all places, Colorado.
Yeah, because he can go out
Yeah.
Hartman Rocks. He's got the all-terrain. Like, that's honestly...
Okay.
Won't for a long
And
time.
so now I think that brings us into, like, what kind of terrain are we talking here? Because we're not talking, like, the fat
Okay.
tire stuff, obviously. I hope.
Why not?
I mean, ish. So, when you get into electric boards, they can be categorized by their usage and size, much like the unpowered skateboards they resemble. Mini, micro, these are the super small, nimble boards that are like that
Yeah,
big.
put them in your backpack.
Yep. They're not going to have very much range. They're not going to be super fast, but
More for, like, a campus
Yeah.
situation.
exactly.
They're kind of like
Then you've
wheelies.
got, like-
The wheel shoes back in the day.
Back in the day, my
You just want
13-year-old
wheelies,
has
Brandon?
those.
Do you just
Huh?
want wheelies,
Those
Brandon?
still exist?
No.
They definitely
They
still
do still
exist.
exist.
You
I
need to
want
TikTok
some.
or Vine or Snapchat more.
Or that TikTok that you don't
I
like.
have none of those things installed.
Yeah, well, that's how you don't know that those still exist and
Gotta
are
get
all
with
the
it, bro.
rage.
You gotta get with it.
Yeah.
So,
You're
So-
officially at the get off my lawn stage of getting old.
you crazy kids.
I don't
with your
know.
wheeled shoes.
I'm with him on the board. It seems like you guys are more of the get off my lawn stage.
No, I just realized that force times velocity equals Brandon in the hospital.
He could jump. You don't
Which-
know. He could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
So-
fast could this thing go for starters? Like, what's its top
uh,
speed?
Like
you.
this specific board,
Yeah, the one you got.
that
What is
I
its
got.
top speed?
it is rated to a maximum speed of 22 miles an hour.
Oh
He's
my
dead.
God.
I will start writing your eulogy now.
Oh, come on. Like, that's
Okay,
how
so there's
It's really fast.
sprinting.
this
That's not
one that,
that
I
fast.
have has 2 modes on it. Well, 3.
Helmet, pads.
Helmet on order, pads on order. They will
Okay.
all get
Hockey
here
pads.
before.
Get one of them motorcycle full
No.
cage things. Yeah.
No, I am
Built-in
getting-
airbags.
So, no, I am getting a sweatshirt that has built-in motorcycle armor.
Okay.
And then I'm also going to have like the standard knee pads, wrist guards. Like, yeah, my mama would mostly be proud, except I'm missing the freaking pillow duct taped around my ass.
I was trying to convince him to get the scooter that goes 80 miles an hour.
Fuck that. Nope.
A ruckus? You were gonna get a ruckus?
And is it Ruckus? It's that company out of California. They're sold for the low price of $7,200.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a ruckus.
Yeah. So there are boards that go much faster. The board I have has 3 modes, so it's got a economy mode, which caps out at 12 miles an hour, and the power curve for both the acceleration and the regenerative braking is much shallower, and it's much more beginner friendly. And then you've got the sport mode, which is like the full normal,
Yeah.
and then you've got a turbo button that will
It's
allow it to
ludicrous
turbo
mode.
for 30 seconds. Yep.
Oh my God.
Will allow it to turbo for 30 seconds, hit a maximum speed of like 25 or 27 miles an hour before then kicking it back down to sport mode, and you have to stay there for 30 seconds before you can
See?
re-engage.
So in
I'm
other words,
not-
it's plaid, but the plaid is the pattern of the road rash on your ass.
Yes.
What's funny is,
Okay.
like, if it were me, like, I wouldn't be worried about myself in the first, like, month or so of me playing with that. Once I get comfortable, that's when I would have to start worrying, because then I'd start getting careless.
Yeah. But I mean, here's the thing. Like I have a pass for skiing. Right? I have yet to do any extreme terrain because I know me, and I know me don't do good down extreme.
Yeah.
That's a very good
I think
point.
that I am responsible enough to understand, like, my limitations, my physical limitations on an item. Like,
Pl-
I'm pretty good with that.
Plus, what you could do is just get it up to 20 and jump off of it. And that way you know what it feels like immediately.
At 20 miles an hour?
Yeah.
That's super
Cody,
fast.
are you trying to plan the death of your friend? Because
See, I wouldn't be worried about that.
Now,
It's why it goes back to the terrain question. Like a rock in the middle of the. I mean,
Okay.
I know.
okay,
So
I just want to put
tell
something
me-
into context for you for a second. Like a road cyclist going fast is averaging 20 miles an hour. Could you imagine just jumping off your bike and trying to land at that speed? That equals serious injury.
For someone who.
Or
depending
skidding.
on what
All
gear you're
love to
wearing
Brandon, but-
and what's around you, yes.
Unless you're landing into a foam pit, that's going to end very poorly.
Or a marsh.
I mean, that's why the gloves that they make have slider pucks on them, so that when you reach
So
out,
you
to,
don't hit and
stop
stick, you
yourself,
slide.
Yeah,
It's like air hockey. with
Exactly.
Makes
Brandon.
sense, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Friction is not your friend. Yeah.
yeah, no, because friction makes tumble, and tumble makes out of control, and
Yeah.
out of control makes wrapping around a pole.
Pole or gutter or car.
A freshman
Okay.
ditch.
All right. Well,
So, anyway, so we've talked mini micro size. Then there's the standard boards, and both of these are on urethane wheels. A lot of them are going to be hub motors, which we're going to talk about later. They're going to have these standard size boards are going to have a little more speed, a little more range, but they're still the standard skateboard wheels. So if you're not on good concrete, you're going to have a bad day.
Yeah.
Then you've got longboard, which longboards have the bigger tires. I mean, that's a good 4-inch tire there.
Yeah.
And this going down, the road out here on Boulevard with the little tar cracks and stuff.
Sucks to
Did
rollerblade
great.
on. Yeah.
Yeah, sucks to rollerblade on. I've done that, and that sucks. But yeah, it's fine. But a lot of these longboards are the ones that get crazy, 35 miles an hour and 20 plus miles of range.
That's cool. The range is cool.
Yeah,
Some
the range is
speed.
cool.
To be fair,
The
I'd
speed,
clarify something. I have never even stepped foot on a board of any sort. So maybe I'm the greatest skateboarder there's ever been, and be like, oh, this is totally easy.
Tony
or more
Hawk,
likely,
move over.
the Tony Hawk that never tried. Good job.
exactly. Yeah,
He's undefeated at skateboarding.
exactly. I'm the
Yeah.
best skateboarder that ever was.
Well, before this weekend, when I borrowed my buddy's longboard, I had only ever once before been on a longboard, and I about broke my wrist
Oh my God,
just
Brandon.
getting on it.
I guess
Now-
that makes sense the first time.
Yeah, so this time, I watched some YouTube videos. I kind of got,
Yeah.
Tony Stark did a little bit.
You
And-
Brandon
did
did
your basic level of research. Yeah, you're lightly researched. It's just your life, whatever.
lightly sort of research.
Yeah, I mean, got on YouTube, was looking at some basic, how do you get on a longboard without falling on your ass kind of stuff. And I love how all of the YouTube videos out there start at a very super basic level, and then they step it up, and then they step it up. And at the end of a 15-minute thing, you're supposed to be doing ollies and nose grabs and jumps, and it's I don't
skipped
think
a few
that's-
steps there,
yeah,
friend.
Yeah. But anyway, so watched some YouTube videos, hopped on the board. Well, didn't hop. Carefully got on the board. Carefully did some pushing.
Like a
And
newborn
at the
fawn.
end of that 2 hours, I was pretty good around the block, feeling pretty confident. The only times I would really get ready to eat it would be when I would be, taking my back foot off to then
Slow
propel
down.
myself forward.
Or that too, yeah.
And it's okay, but that's perfect because this is the problem that a electric skateboard solves. I don't have to take my foot off and rebalance to continue moving forward at a moderate pace.
Did you
Yeah,
happen
no.
to try to figure out how fast you were going while you were going at this moderate pace?
No.
Because I would guess it was about 8 miles an hour.
Yeah, and I would guess
And-
that's really
and-
all I'm going to be comfortable on the board.
That makes sense.
too.
Yeah, he'll
12
figure it
miles an
out.
hour.
He'll figure it out.
I mean,
it'll be
it's
fine.
it's like a car. Just because the car can do 200 miles an hour doesn't mean you're going to go 200 miles an hour. There is something
I
called an
will.
accelerator
I
that
will.
you can. Yeah. There's something called an accelerator that you can control to tell you how fast you want to accelerate and what top speed you want to hit.
I know exactly
So-
when the limiter hits in my truck.
So maybe you clarified this. So what type of tires are on this new longboard? Is it the one that you showed earlier, kind of the similar wide 4-inch polyurethane ish,
So
or
longboard, so the longboard electric boards do typically have like that size tire, maybe some a little bit bigger. The all-terrain board, which this is why I went with an all-terrain board, have much bigger tires. So the ones I'm getting, like the ones I showed earlier, are like a 4-inch. These that I'm getting are like a 6.5-inch. They are designed to go over like
I could say that's
rock, gravel.
That's better. I'd say that's
Yeah.
better.
Small roots.
And rather than being a hard urethane, the ones I'm getting are a honeycomb solid rubber design.
That's cool.
So there's going to be a lot more padding in it. And then you can get really crazy ones that are actually like pressurized, like standard tire, like they're pneumatic. And those are supposed to be even better.
Bettier.
Whoa,
The Bettiers.
Black Betty.
Bramble Jam. Yeah, but I guess when you carve on the pneumatic tires, you can actually feel like the tire bead flex just that little bit. So they don't really recommend that if your primary purpose is going to be on the road.
Mm.
So these all-terrain boards use a longboard deck, or the actual plank that is the board, but they use the bigger tires, and the speeds are good, as is the range, but it's typically a shorter range and slower than the standard longboards because of the tire size. Because as you go up, you have to have more torque to be able to go faster, which then means more power draw.
But it means he can go up hills better too. Like that's, or tow a bigger trailer of apparently booze.
Out
behind
of
him.
curiosity, what's the recommended weight capacity for the tires?
Yeah.
Brandon.
So I can't find information on the tires themselves. The board, like every electric board that I've seen out there that comes from a like quality company that I would trust the electronics on, max out at about 240 to 260.
So you're right in the range.
So I got a
No.
bone to pick with this. I got a bone
Oh,
to
Brandon.
pick. So a lot of this stuff is like, oh, cool. You know, people that need to lose weight, it would be fun to use this stuff to lose weight. But the irony is you can't. So then it becomes this weird problem where you get stuck because then you get sad that you can't, and then you eat some more because you can't, and then you have two chins, and then you get sad again some more. So yeah, whatever. Anyway,
Yeah. That's one of my big issues with like this entire e-skate platform right now is you can't find boards that are rated for 300-pound people. And it's not that I am like morbidly obese. I'm 6'6" and 270. Like,
Big
yeah,
man.
I've got some extra pounds. But even if I were to just like go vegan or raw or whatever the freaking craze is for like super healthy and shed all the weight I could, I am never going to be less than 220.
Yeah, they're not assuming. They're assuming if you weigh over a certain amount, you must be horribly obese, and everyone has a certain BMI that needs to be low, but they never account for the big and tall fellas and women and
Yeah.
non-binary.
Yeah.
It's a podcast.
How 2021 of you.
They don't account for the large people. And that is kind of one of my issues, and that's why it was finally like, look, I'm just gonna get one. I'm gonna see what happens.
It'll probably work fine. I'm
Yeah.
sure it'll work fine.
Exactly. Now, will the range be as far? No. Will it go as fast? Probably not.
See, physics.
Will I be able to climb as much of a steep angle hill?
Well,
No,
I mean,
probably not.
But it sounds like in your use case, you don't really need that, at least initially. You just want to go down
Yeah,
the
you're
step.
not gonna,
and the cool
you're
thing
not going to be
is,
going to go
by,
up to Escalante or anything like that.
yeah,
Right.
by the
No.
time that he gets to that point, he'll be using this for a while, and it might actually assist him to getting to that point where it won't be an issue anyway.
Yeah.
Or I'll go crazy mode and get an off-road board.
I love
Which
it.
have you guys ever seen?
Here
the
lies
mountain
Brendan
boards?
Vader. He went crazy mode. He's insane.
He went right through Ludacris and into Plaid.
And now he
Yes.
makes $2 million a year being the ultimate board master because he got good at it. See, that can go either way. You only see the negative, my friends.
You're playing off of the percentages here.
Yeah.
I hope you have a really good
So-
life insurance policy.
It's because most
For
people are
Lucas, it's
risk
okay.
adverse.
It's
That's the
okay.
problem. Most people are risk adverse.
Well, and like
He'll be
it's-
fine.
Yeah, it's
He won't
it's all
die.
about doing things in moderation and like taking the right steps to get to crazier steps. You can't
I would
just
agree.
be like, I'm going to jump on a longboard and then, okay, well now I'm going to go make this like $6,000 full custom like off-road board that will do 40 miles an hour up to the peak of Cresta Butte.
No,
That
we're going to
sounds
do
awesome.
2 hours on a longboard and then get a longboard that can possibly go 20 miles an hour of its own power.
See, that's
That
That's
seems
a
like
smaller.
linear
You know, that
progression.
is
That's
a
a good
smaller
little step.
jump. You're right. That is a smaller step. I can't argue that.
And
It'll be
next year,
fine.
you're going to jump Black Snake Canyon like Evil Knievel. It's fine.
No.
That would be
That's not
cool,
gonna
actually.
happen.
Make it happen.
But
You heard
anyway,
it here first, folks.
have you guys seen mountain boards?
Yeah.
Okay. So like 7 to 8 inch tires, like super fat tires. They've got these massively reinforced decks and trucks. By the way, trucks are the actual like bit
Axle
that the
things,
wheels
yeah.
connect to, and then to
Steering
the
and
board.
suspension.
Yeah. And oops, I almost fell down. That would have been a loud clatter. So these off-road boards, which I remember like originally seeing back in the 90s as a kid on Rocket Power, and I think that's where this obsession started, because every time I see an off-road, like a mountain board, I'm like, oh, that would be so cool.
God,
It'd
Rocket
be so
Power.
amazing.
Love
Rocket
that
Power.
show. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. I love that fucking show. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. So, off-road boards are motorized version of the mountain boards, complete with bindings, massive trucks, pneumatic tires. Ranges are typically shorter, speeds are a mixed bag, but they're designed to be off-road, tackle much steeper terrain, much worsely kept terrain. And then somewhere in between longboard and all-terrain boards, there's like a subclass called a GT board that with a tire change can either be a longboard with high speed, high range, or an all-terrain board with more comfort and lower speed, lower range.
It's actually kind of cool.
Those typically come at a little bit more of a premium because you can kind of do more things with them. Yeah. I was looking at one of those for a little while and then realizing that I would probably never use the like 4-inch urethane tires because
Gunnison
why?
doesn't have that good of concrete. It really doesn't. Unless you are
Yep.
exclusively on the campus.
Yep. So that's the boards, and then you've got 3 different like drivetrain options. So you've got hub motors, which basically inside of the wheel is where the motor's at, and then it turns the like outside tire bit. And it's like built into the truck and the wheel. And they're super quiet. They're also considered the more stealthy option because apparently in certain states, counties, countries, these are illegal to operate on the motorways. Now, here in Colorado, totally legal. As long as they do less than 25 miles an hour, they are classified as a basically like an assisted bike. So
no turbo mode is what you're saying, theoretically.
All I heard
and
when you said
my
stealth mode was
200
like a getaway vehicle for a bank robbery.
Oh.
A getaway longboard, electric longboard at 27 miles an hour.
No, it's more for
Noise
countries
ordinance.
like
Singapore.
yeah, noise ordinance and places like Singapore and China that you're not supposed to have an electrified. These are personal or micro personal transportation devices, or there's like some weird classification that these are in certain countries, and you're not allowed to operate them on the motorways because you're not paying taxes on the like maintenance and upkeep.
It's the same reason
For the
why
roadway,
Calgary
yeah.
is now adding a or wait, no, Saskatchewan is now adding $150 yearly tax for electric vehicles. So if you buy a Tesla and drive it in Saskatchewan, live in Saskatchewan, you have to pay $150 a year for having it. Random.
Probably
factor.
still worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, the hub motor's very quiet, very stealthy, but because the motor is like built in to the wheel, you can't just pop standard skateboard tires onto it. There's not a lot of like direct fit options except from that company.
Sounds
Yeah,
expensive.
So you get yourself
Huh?
into a walled garden.
Sounds expensive.
Yeah, I mean there are third-party companies out there that do make the little sleeves that go over it, but you also, because there's only like, a centimeter of material around it, you have less shock absorbative material, and you can't customize your ride quality as much. So it kind of results in a worse ride comfort than the other two options. The other really common option is belt drive, where the motors are actually mounted parallel to the truck, like on the truck, so that they move with the truck. And then behind the tire is a little hub that attaches to most standard tire types of skateboards, so that you can actually freely change them out with standard skateboard tires. And then they also make the like bigger tires for all-terrain boards
I saw
that work on those as well.
Yeah, that's the video I saw with the custom one was a belt drive, and he had dual off-road tires. So he had dualies, like
Oh,
4 dualies
Jesus.
on it. Yeah.
Dang,
Yeah,
Brandon,
he
I could
must have
definitely
been rocking a lot of power.
I could definitely see why you mentioned that this could be a TED Talk. You really went down the rabbit hole, didn't you?
I
cool.
really went
Like
down the rabbit hole.
that. It sounds like you could be an expert on your own podcast if we had more time.
I'm going to go ahead and, I think, bookend your TED Talk with the last quote of Douglas Adams for the night. I think a nerd is a person who uses the telephone to talk to other people about telephones. And a computer nerd, therefore, is somebody who uses a computer in order to use a computer.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
I am a nerd.
So I do have. So what was the third motor, real quick?
So first, belt drive is louder but provide better torque and interoperability between different tires. Then you have direct drive, which the motors are actually like mounted in line with the truck, and then a tire is attached to the outside of those. So you have the benefits of like the hub because it's kind of stealthy. It doesn't look like a motorized skateboard, but it also has the benefits of the hub because it's a wheel attachment that you can then change out to different sizes without having to be like proprietary. There's currently an issue with those in the current generation where a larger person, or if you take an extreme shock because they're not like built into the truck, they're attached to the truck, where they will actually like shear at that connection point.
That would be bad at 27 miles an hour.
Yes.
It would
Yeah.
still go. It would just like you're talking about the motor would shear, not
It's
the
not.
actual.
It's not so much that it would still go.
It
It's
would
that it
shear
would stop
off,
going
and then you would be
for a
like
little bit.
the back would be dragging.
Oh, the
like the
whole
broken truck.
the whole
Yeah.
wheel
Yeah.
would shear off. Okay, I
It's-
thought you were
it's
talking
bad.
about just the
It's-
motor
That's a
shearing.
change in momentum and acceleration.
Yeah, yeah,
And physics says
Yeah.
that's
And-
bad.
and braking.
That's very bad. But
Cool.
I think that technology is where it's going to go, and then there's batteries and controllers and like all sorts of other crazy shit that, yeah, we're at an hour and 16. So
You want to describe, really quickly, because so you talked about batteries a little bit, you talked about motors a little bit. How
Yeah.
do you control this thing?
So through an electronic speed controller, or ESC, there's two main ones out there, Hobby Wing and Yiling. In earlier generations, there was like a definitive, like if you wanted, and I can't remember which is which now, but if you wanted like the little controller that you use to be more accurate with where you were at in the swing
Is
of acceleration.
this a
or
wired
not.
controller? Or is it like wireless or?
Wireless. Yep.
Huh.
It's wireless handheld. The one I actually got, I partly got because the controller has USB-C rather than micro or some like stupid DC barrel pen.
Please, let's stop with the micro. No more micro. Come on,
Yeah,
guys.
it's
a
a
dead
25-cent part different. Like that's it. 25 cents. I would rather pay the 25 cents or upcharge it for 50 cents to get fucking C on everything. I'd want no more micro. Rant in and of itself. But yeah, so each one of these controller boards basically control how the board's charged, how the power is taken from the batteries and applied to the wheel. But then also, most of the electric boards out there will also have regenerative braking. So you can actually stop. And the really good high-end Hobby Wing and Li Ying controllers actually have a way, and I'm not sure how they did this. I can't figure out how they did it, to still brake even if the battery is full. Because on older generations, you could actually fill your battery up and then lose your braking power. And that was dangerous.
That's
Yeah, it's a bad problem.
Yeah.
So you got to
Runaway truck
for a
ramps
while
for
before you
skateboards
can
would be
brake.
required.
Yeah. And like my
stuff.
Volt does that a little bit, where like the regen braking and the hill pull on it is way diminished if I've fully topped off at work. So I actually have to put it on hill mode at work so that it doesn't charge the top like 5% of the battery. So that then as I'm going down the hill, I have full regen.
That is
rather
an
than actually
interesting
having to
problem.
hit the
I have
brake
never
pedal.
thought about that, but that makes
Yeah.
sense
Yeah.
that would be an issue.
Good
Huh, all right.
technology. A bad part about good technology.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But
Well, it's not a bad
these-
part. They just haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah.
A better way.
Well, I
in
mean,
the-
It's
yeah.
a growing pain. It's a growing pain.
Yeah. Yeah, regenerative. We're going to top off your battery with braking power. Oh, wait. What happens if we can't top off your battery? Then we can't brake. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. I never thought about that.
Yeah, I really do want to figure
I guess
out
it
how that
protects the
works
battery,
because-
though. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it so your battery between your legs or between your feet down there doesn't explode. So kudos to that.
Yes. But yeah, that's definitely something I need to figure out for when and if I eventually make my own board. Because I do have a feeling like if this works really well, like enough to give me a taste and enough to get me comfortable on a board, I am going to end up like making my own board so that it actually gets the range and speed that I want with my weight and body type.
That would be
Cool.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I really.
What's the
encourage
price
you to
point
do
you're
that.
at right now?
This board MSRP is $1,200. Right now you can get it for $9.99 with a on-site coupon code. So without protective gear, I'm in it $1,000 because free shipping. It should get here in a couple days. I've spent about $150 on protective gear because I wanted to get a good certified helmet, and then I got a that sweatshirt because it's multi-use. I can wear it on the motorcycle or on the skateboard, and then I got some cheapy pads so that if it's hot and I don't want to wear the giant sweatshirt, then I can put on the cheapy pads and have something.
I like it.
Yeah.
Why not? Fuck it.
So, yeah. But
Should have gotten the duo.
the duo?
I had to loop it around to arm. Sorry.
Oh. Yeah, I've got one other little paragraph I'll bust through quick. So the board that I went with is actually a hub motor, but because of the larger rubber wheels on it, the comfort issue isn't going to be an issue because it has the bigger rubber tires around it. But I went with it because where I live is dusty, and the hub motors are actually sealed units. The belt drive, even if there's a cover around the belt, it's not an actual like dust rated enclosure, and you'll get dust, gravel, rocks in there.
Not IP rated. Yeah.
Exactly. And all terrain, the way I think about it is, like, if you want a car analogy, think about the current generation of Jeep Grand Cherokee. You can go off-road with it, but there are going to be spots where you're not.
You don't really want to in some spots, yeah.
Yeah, like, going up Kill Hill in a Jeep Grand Cherokee, yeah, you could do it. But if you're going to try and get back there, you'll probably just park down at the base and then take your bicycle.
And that's why my uncle calls those family Jeeps.
Exactly. They call it more of a commuter board because it's comfortable. You can ride it even on bad street conditions and stuff like that. But yeah, that's what I got. That's what I deep dived on. I've got like 2 whole other pages worth of like deep diving into batteries, controllers.
Brandon, you said at the beginning that our topics are lightly fucking researched. What the?
Yeah,
you wrote a whole dissertation.
He did say mostly.
I did say mostly.
He was covering us, not him.
Yeah,
I researched my topic. I don't know about you guys, but
he wanted to bring.
You're not an expert in the tires and motors of electric skateboards like in 2 days? Come on. You don't know quantum physics, you plebe?
He was against the detriment of the word research, of the derogatory usage of the word research that we all keep doing.
I want to know everything.
Can't
all the knowledge
dragging that
to
word
me
through the mud.
I cannot express to you how many pages upon pages of websites I have visited and read through, and YouTube videos, and like just chasing that dopamine rush of like learning something new to then get to the dopamine rush of actually hopping on this freaking thing when it shows up.
I'm excited.
And you'll need every ounce of dopamine to not feel the pain.
I really hope you like it, Brandon, because after all that effort, you get on, you're like, this sucks, and you just put it away in the shed.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, if I don't like it, because shipping does take a while on these, I could pretty easily put it up on eBay.
I was gonna say, you could probably sell it pretty easily.
And turn it back around for what I bought it for, and somebody would be more than happy to pay it, I'm sure.
You're set. It's a victimless hobby, except for the rider.
And the children. Think of the children.
The children.
You sound like my mom. You have a son. You can't be doing this kind of stuff anymore.
I'm actually excited. I'm excited. Like 2 months after you're like, this is the coolest thing ever, and when I hear another 6-hour rant about it, that's what I'm really hoping for. And I hope you're okay. Just be safe.
Then he'll build his own, and Lucas will have that one.
I hope that you'll be able to podcast from Gunnison Valley Hospital.
You know,
I'm sure if nothing else, I can convince somebody to hold a phone for me.
I would call that a hopeful ending, wouldn't you?
Body traction. Just full body traction.
I agree. That is
all right, Brandon, take us home.
All right. Well, Let me get back to the right screen. Okay, Cody, where can we find you?
I am Cody Stratman, also known as Zito Valder. You can find me on Instagram, on YouTube, Striving to Fail, where I am actually, and I do mean it this time, going to start posting videos. Yes, I know, because...
Are you going to post videos of me on my skateboard?
Oh, it will be one of those things that I do, but
It'll be in memorandum.
In the arms of an angel.
God. No, and only because I would
asshole.
never use that song.
Thank you.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Oh,
But yeah, I've got to start documenting some major changes that are going to happen in my life in the next few weeks. So,
Cool.
yeah, watch and see. Ooh, there we go. There's a tagline. Anyway, speaking of changes, it's time to change people. So, Colton, where can we find you?
My name's Colton Roper. I go by Seeker4761.
That's the amount of injuries that Mjolnir thinks he's going to have, but he won't actually have that many.
All
thank
right.
you.
I love it. Why not? Fuck it.
I'll
You
take
can
that
find
back.
me under that particular name for most social media, if not all social media. You can find me on twitch.tv/Seeker4761, where I try to stream pretty regularly, mostly on Tuesdays right now. But I'm also starting a new YouTube series. It's going to be called Achievement Seeker, where I try to complete all the Steam achievements for certain games. I thought that would be pretty
Ooh.
fun.
I love
And
That
this.
is awesome.
All right, I have your first game.
Painkiller.
Skyrim.
Oh.
Oh fuck. Okay, realistically, certain games. I'm actually right now. I'm setting up
Age
videos
of Empires
for.
2 with me.
That's actually the first one that it's going to be. So
What is
I'm
it?
getting there.
I will help
Age of
you.
Empires 2, the definitive edition. I'm going to try and get all the Steam achievements. I have
You
a
know
long
what?
way to go.
Let's do it.
That sounds
Yeah.
like fun. I'll
Fuck yeah.
join in.
You'll join the train. Hell yeah.
Yep.
And I'm also a contributor to the techpirate.net as well. So cool. Charlie, what about you?
I am Charlie Stifler, also known as Milnor, spelled wrong, so I always get it right. You can find me on Steam, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. Here,
OnlyFans.
TikTok.
like all the no OnlyFans. No,
You know,
no
you
one
should
wants to see
start-
this except
you
for my
should
wife,
start-
and only on Tuesdays.
You should start an OnlyFans account just so you can have that name. Just so nobody else can pretend to be Mjolnir.
But he spells
spelled
it wrong,
wrong.
so he always gets it. So it's fine. He'll always get
Yeah,
it.
but maybe one of our fans is a creeper and is going to
Yeah,
be like,
probably. I mean, I have met
I'm
your
gonna be
son.
Charlie this week.
All right, Brandon, where can we find you?
Being Mjolnir.
You can find me. Yeah, no. You can find me on the techpirate.net. You can find me on YouTube as the Tech Pirate, and I am going to start posting up rides and hopefully the skateboard unboxing and stuff like that on Brandon Vader to keep it separate from the Tech Pirate, since it's not really like I will
It's
probably do a
electrical.
review on the Tech Pirate
Oh,
of
come
it,
on.
but I don't want to post up rides because that's
Okay.
not what the Tech Pirate is.
That's fair enough.
You can also follow me on Instagram as bvader86. That's where you'll get a first look at like photos and stuff of the skateboard
And where you'll also see where Brandon makes the mistake of wearing shorts on snowy days.
Yep. Yeah,
Like today.
Short weather for 2 freaking weeks. I finally wear shorts to work and it fucking snows. But at least I didn't ride the motorcycle this morning. I
That's
was
true.
thinking about riding the motorcycle. Not with shorts.
See, that's why that would never work out. You can't have... If you ever do that, it's going to be record-breaking blizzard.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, people will die.
I do not get on a motorcycle without a brain bucket and pants and at least a sweatshirt. And now that I've got the armored sweatshirt coming in, that will be my bare minimum.
That's cool.
Good.
Cool.
So, because even though I may sound irresponsible at times, I am actually a responsible adult most of the time.
I'm not.
No.
And with that, Mr. Vader, play us home.
Well, thank you all for joining us on this episode of This Week I'm Learning. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts, as well as on YouTube at This Week I'm Learning. For you social media peeps out there, you can find us on Twitter at ThisTWIL. If you'd like to contact us, you can send an email to twill@thetechpirate.net. See you next week, but I will leave you with one final thought. Don't forget your towel.
Well played. Can't see it, but well played. I love it.
Captain Phasma, in honor of my car.
Hell yeah. Bye, guys.
Well done. Well done.
So there was one thing I forgot to say about PayPal and why I hate PayPal.
Why do you hate PayPal?
Oh, let's hear it.
So many moon ago, back in the age of 2017,
The before
I
times,
was-
as they call them.
yep, the before times, the great before times, I bought something and it was using PayPal and it overdrafted one of my cards that I hadn't used in 2 years because PayPal set the wrong thing as the primary type of transfer.
Payment card.
Yeah, the wrong payment card because I didn't use that anymore. And it took me months to get that off. And finally, when I finally got a hold of somebody at PayPal, they were like, "Oh," in this British accent, "Oh, well, I guess we can remove that. Oh, I see you've been a naughty boy. I quote, you've been a naughty boy." And I'm like, what number did I dial? Is that
How?
1-900
That sounds-
PayPal?
That would have been awesome.
So,
Wow, I'm glad we saved that for the outro.
I have a possible outro as well because I have a funny story about PayPal and about my bank and about the electric skateboard.
Oh, this is going to be brilliant.
I placed the order for the electric skateboard after 2 days of research. Finally find the one, and it is actually going to ship from California. And I'm like, ooh, yes. And I click the buy button. Not 5 seconds later, my cell phone rings, and it's an 800 number. And it's like, that's a pretty weird coincidence. Answer the phone. This is the automated fraud detection for New Vista Credit Federal Union. If you are Brandon Vader, please press 1. And it goes through my last 5 transactions. And it flags my transaction because it's a high dollar amount at a sporting good company.
Oh, it fat shamed you.
It's like,
It fat
My
shamed you.
bank
This-
fat shamed me.
this can't possibly be you, Brandon. Come on, bro. Come on, bro.
So it gets better. It gets better.
Yeah, because we haven't involved PayPal yet.
No, actually, that's pretty much it.
Okay.
Like, it was weird. My bank flagged it through their automated system because it came through PayPal. It was a high dollar amount, and it was for sporting goods.
Hit all the.
I then
all the ticks.
approve it, get a call from my bank, not 1 minute later, from an actual teller agent.
Oh my god, I love
Hi,
it.
is this Mr. Vader? Yes, it is. Okay, this is so-and-so at this bank. If you'd like to call us back, you can, of course, do that, but we need to verify some information. No, it's fine. You called me from, like, the number I have saved as the local branch. Like, that's fine. You know, what's going on? Well, we need to confirm your identity. all right, confirm my identity, because it's a teller I've actually met in person, and I know her voice, and it's like, I know this person. And she's like, so, Brandon, we've got a really weird charge on your account, and it was automatic. It was approved through the automated system, but I just wanted to call you and make sure.
Really don't think this is you. Are you who you say?
You need to ride the
'cause
board
this
to the
is-
bank now, just to prove
Yeah,
that
I
you got
do.
it.
Like, I fucking
Yeah, I
got it.
do.
Oh,
And
this
she's
is
like, well,
brilliant.
because it's it's a very high, for your typical transactions at a sporting goods store, this is a very high dollar amount. This is like
I like
We
how
don't
she's like,
believe
I've already
you.
said I'm
what you
me.
normally spend at a sporting goods store, which is why our system flagged it, and it's a company out of California. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I bought an electric skateboard from California.
See, the only thing that would have
I'm
made
sorry, you bought a what? An electric skateboard. Oh, that you're gonna like ride around town?
that. Oh my god, I love it.
Yeah.
What would you do with one of those?
See, the only thing that would have made that better is that she's like, okay, well, I'd like to take this opportunity that we offer health and life insurance.
Brandon, the only way that gets better is I was the teller and was like, there's no fucking way
It
he
can't
bought
be.
this.
It
There's no
can't be
fucking
him."
way he bought this.
I love it.